All right, should I start? I mean, I'm not even sure what the timing is right now. Is it time? So, I thought I'd do, Chris suggested that I do a Teach Me Podcasting, because I've been going to all these sessions, and everybody who's doing podcasting that's here, and it seems like the majority are doing podcasting, are having all these tips and techniques on things like search engine optimization, and Mark's session yesterday, editing was great, but I'm just going, all right, I don't even do podcasting at all, so I don't even know where to start. So there were some good sessions yesterday, and the first one was about one that I went to that was really good. It was about planning. You know, what do I want to do? And okay, so I got that covered. I got the planning covered. I have an idea what I want to do. I want to do an interview type of style, and I want to get other people involved, probably over the phone because we're geographically dispersed. And so there's a lot of different ways to do that, and I'm really not clear, so we'll go into that a little bit later on about how I actually do it. Marketing, got that covered, I think. I got search engine optimization, and I got the blog thing going. If I go to Google, and I type in, not my name, but at least type in bitches, and hit Google search. Hopefully I'm connected down here. Come on. It's thinking about it. Google, am I not connected down here? Oh, I think so I am. Oh, I only have 5 megabits, that's wrong.
You need to switch to this room.
You may want to switch to this room, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But anyways, if I do the Google search, I end up coming up first.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I come up, my feminist humor website comes up first before porn. That's the word bitches.
That's good.
Does that not rock?
You should be proud of that.
I think that totally rocks, personally. I'm pretty pleased with that. All right, so I got the blog going. I've had a website for 10 years, but I got the blog going, so I've got the whole blog thing that they said you should have. So you've got all your marketing. So I've got that down. Schedule. Now, I asked the question yesterday in one of the sessions, and that's where I want feedback from people who've done this. Like, some people are saying weekly, some are saying daily, some are every other week, some are infrequent. This isn't a business. This is like a hobby and a sideline, and only because people are telling me I should be doing this, and because I also think it's a way to get content up that I can't otherwise get out of people who can't. The people who would write for me are very particular about their writing. And so they don't want to just put anything up, and they take forever to edit it and clean it up, and everybody has day jobs, and they're busy, so they have no time for that. But if I could get them on the phone, oh my lord, you just get these people frothing. It's hilarious. It's really funny. Give them something topical, and away they go. So I'm thinking this would be a really awesome way to get more content out there and get people talking about current affairs and topics that are relevant to the site. But that means that I need to find some kind of schedule that works for disparate people in disparate places. And the thing I was hearing is that if you say you're going to do it weekly and you don't do it weekly, you'll lose your listenership. And I'd just like to know if anybody would like to come up and talk about their experiences in terms of scheduling, mistakes they made or didn't make, or did they start off, doing something weekly and then go to daily, or daily and then push it out to weekly or monthly, or just what were the experiences in terms of trying to schedule something and fitting it into the rest of your life and getting the time to do it?
Yeah, I think that a couple of things that I've learned is it's not so much whether you're doing it weekly, daily, or monthly, it's that you're doing it consistently.
Just like with children.
Yeah,
I gotta make sure I'm consistent.
So
I was terrible at that, by the way.
if you say you're going to do it weekly, then do it weekly. If
Okay.
it's monthly, do it monthly. But then, do it consistently the same. So that people understand that I know that I need to go back there in a week to get a new, and I'll get a new one.
Okay, and what about experiences of doing like daily podcasts? Does anybody here do dailies?
Chris Penn upstairs, Financial Aid Podcast is a daily show.
Is it a daily show? How long is this podcast?
Under 20 minutes.
Under 20 minutes?
And in his survey results, he found that was a little too long because his target audience is college kids. So they're on average really listening to one full show. And the way you get around it is he publishes full script and show notes. So the kids can at least read every site, because everyone reads blogs faster than they listen and absorb audio or video. So then they can choose if they're going to see more than one episode a week.
Okay, so when he publishes the full, well, you said the full script of the show.
Yeah.
Does he write the script in advance, or does he have
He
something?
does. There's a couple of people in the Philippines who will translate it for you for really damn cheap.
You mean type in all your text?
Yeah, no lie. Listen,
Oh yeah, it's like listen, couple bucks or something.
Yeah.
And where is that? What's it called? Does somebody have a name?
Drop me a line. I don't know the name of the service, but CC Chapman from Accident Hatch uses it all the time.
We use casting words sometimes.
What's it called? Say that out loud.
Casting words,
Okay.
and they'll give you a full transcript, very accurate.
Very accurate transcript. Maybe, I guess if I move a little further up to actually having a way to have something this self-funded at the very least.
Well, one more thing about frequency though, I agree with everything that you said, but you can change it as long as you communicate that with your audience. So, you know, we're doing a weekly show, we're going to have to go to bi-weekly. I did that for the summer, I went to bi-weekly and I just told people, and then now actually I went back to weekly and now recently I've gone back to bi-weekly. And people are fine as long as you tell them, but as someone said yesterday, if you just sort of disappear for 3 weeks and you don't tell anyone and you're supposed to be a weekly show, then they may just drop you from their feeds. So just tell them.
Okay. And how long? When you first started out, how long a show? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour sometimes.
When you're having a conversation, it's probably going to be like that 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes?
Who is your target audience?
That's a very good question. Dominantly, women, and I would say, you know, it really spans the gamut because I get the members to fill in their age and everything from sort of 15 to 45, but then I get a lot of the women who've gotten out of their marriage after this 27-year thing that's going on now. You know, people get out of marriage after a quarter of a century and then decide that they actually want to have a life for themselves and find the site very entertaining. But it is dominantly women, more educated obviously because they're online and connected. And typically it appeals to women who are in non-traditional types of roles, environments, or just feel like they don't, you know, they're not the... you know, to a large extent, I have a few stay-at-home moms, typically not my target audience, for example, and a lot of college kids, I would say. And then there's a segment of male population who counts, because there's a whole bunch of, there's pages and pages and pages, and this started only because of the email I got. There's a whole bunch of guys that classify themselves as nice guys, and feel that their entire reason in their life why they can't get laid is because of women like me. Well, women in general. You know, forgetting that the only real common denominator, because didn't somebody say that each one of us is a unique individual, right? Like that's our unique value proposition, so the only common denominator in that entire scenario is them. But anyway, so there's a huge audience for that, surprisingly, and a lot of hits to those pages. So there could actually be a male listenership depending on the topic, which I think would be really interesting. I mean, I think if I went to some more controversial topics, but so someone said that if I have even the title, you know, Heartless Bitches in iTunes, somebody says they'll get an explicit rating or something like that because I'll even have the word. Is that true? Like, it'll say. And I guess the moment if I have like language, if I use language that is, you know, if I use any like bad words and what is the 7 words you can't say on television, I'll be. Is that? So that's another question I have coming up about, you know, how do you get it to iTunes? So schedule, so you're saying at least 15, 20 minutes probably for a conversation?
That's a good question that was asked about who your audience is. I mean, you could even survey them before you do it or get a little focus group of people that you know are fans of your site.
Okay.
Because it depends on where people are going to be listening to it. I mean, you know, if your readers reach your blog at iPods or...
That's a good question, and I could certainly put that out there because there's a membership forum where, you know, I often will float ideas or put things past, and that's sort of a private members only forum, so that's a good option too. I didn't have to go to SurveyMonkey, I could just kind of throw that in the member forum and get some general feedback. The thing is that the members are actually a very small percentage of the actual readership, because the readership is pretty, I think the last time I looked at my stats, it was something like 60,000 unique visitors a month, so, I mean, there with a deuce or something like that, but it's still pretty, you know, pretty decent traffic for hobby.
Did you say 60,000?
Yeah.
God bless you.
Well, you know, on the Alexa ratings, I rank pretty damn low, but, you know, elsewhere, I guess, comparatively speaking. But, and I have done nothing actively or aggressively to advertise anywhere else. It's all viral. It's completely viral. And if I go into, I can't remember, it's up in the tens of thousands of link backs from Google, which is why I'm sort of at the top ranking when you search Google. Which is kind of, like I said, it's kind of fun for something started as a joke. You can't. Obviously, I hit some collective chord. So schedule's good. Okay, so the next one. How do we go about it? And this is like right at the gate. All right, I want to record it. And I heard two different kinds of ways to go, and I haven't heard the talk shoe. That's today, right?
Mark,
Oh, here's what we play with.
Yeah, all right, so, all right, but I want to hear both sides of the camp here, because I'm hearing some people just get out there and they get right into the techie geeky. I'm going to get my microphone and my audio card and my recording equipment in Audition or Audacity, and I'm going to record. And then there's the other people who are, offering services, or, doing a free conference where we could just all call into a conference call service, have them record it, and then just take it out. But I still think, knowing the kind of person I might probably want to edit parts of
So
it.
you can still edit it.
Yeah?
But you probably also want to record an intro or an outro as well as the conversation with the other women. So you will need a microphone,
Okay.
unless you want to record yourself over the phone, which is not special.
No, probably not. Okay, so here's the thing. I have a Windows 2000 Pentium 3 1.8 gigahertz. I think I need to upgrade. So I don't think I really actually want to add any hardware to that. But if I was going to get started and I'm on a budget because this is a hobby, what's the first thing I need? Other than your computer.
Don't go this way.
And don't go Vista? Okay, really? Because I'm having an argument with the boyfriend's Mac on PC. He's on I'm Ford. And we're talking about getting a new multimedia system. And I have Premiere and I have a whole bunch of Adobe stuff because I have an inside track. So I could get Audition and I could get it very reasonably priced. But I was thinking Windows XP like Pro or something like that because I'm afraid things won't run on it. So I would like some feedback as to what I should get in order
Well,
to...
if you look around, this conference, everybody's on a Mac.
Yeah, I know, he's with the Macs.
I'm on PC. PC's fine for me. I think the PC you got is fine for doing an audio podcast.
Really? So,
Oh, yeah.
but what about my sound card? It's like some integrated on the motherboard sound card. It's not going to be very good.
Why isn't it?
I don't know. That's what they were saying in the other room yesterday.
Are you going to be doing a lot of stuff where people are going to need to hear the intricacies of your voice and fine-tune it down?
No.
You're fine. I think you might be overanalyzing what you have to pay for it.
So then I just need a decent microphone is what you're telling me, because I don't have
I think
one.
so.
Yeah, because I'm in the same boat as you, and I was talking to somebody who does a podcast, and it's primarily music, but he does it's an unsigned rock podcast. And he told me, he said, Mark, you're getting too caught up in the technology of it. Get a good microphone, no more than $100. Use what you've got on your computer if you got to use a desktop. Just get going. Start doing some podcasts. Then you can start looking at if you have to add things on.
Okay.
But really, get a half-decent microphone. That'll make probably the biggest difference in your sound. And do it. Just start doing it.
So if I get a half-decent microphone and I start recording, what do I need on the PC to record with other than Windows Sound Recorder? I mean, I must need some kind of software to record.
Audacity.
Audacity?
Yeah.
So that's the
You
general...
want to record locally, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so...
Just by the way, the quality stuff, we've done a lot of studies on the quality, not sort of in the super high fidelity, but more, okay, what if you want to spend $0, what if you want to spend $100, 500, and then it seems to be 1,000 or more.
Right.
And by far the number one item is the end device. Okay, people say, for example, phone quality stinks. The phone network is great.
It's the actual phone
It's the
itself.
phone that sucks.
Yeah, see, one of my correspondents I want to get, I'm actually going to send her a new phone because it's that bad. And I agree, it's...
And then there's sort of the next step, which is a mixing board, where you can tie in your PC and your phone together, or just your PC, and then maybe add some sound effects. You can build it. It's kind of like photography. You don't have to buy the Nikon, whatever, D4 for $2,000 or something.
Okay, so from the DIY side of it, and you're offering a service, which is appealing to me because I could see, when I first started out on the web, what I did is I got a shared virtual at a company because I didn't have to set any up, I didn't have to set the web server or anything else up, I could just create my pages and they'd serve it. But then of course I'm a programmer and I decided I want to put up Perl scripts and they don't allow that, and so then I had to move up to a slightly more advanced system. Eventually I went through about 4 shared virtual hosting providers and dumped all of them and I have my own server and my own. And like somebody said yesterday about blogging software, I don't use Blogger or any of those online services. I installed WordPress painfully. By the way, if you haven't done that, don't believe it. it's not trivial to get it to actually do the skins the way you want it to look. If you want to use the stock out of the box, great. But the moment you want to tailor that thing, and I don't know PHP, but I know Perl, and I still found it really challenging, to say the least. But I got it working. So I'm a kind of a do-it-yourself kind of person, but I don't have a lot of time. And I'm just wondering, I had some really bad experiences with shared virtuals. Somebody yesterday talked about one-on-one and said it was really good. So I'm still hosting at my own provider, but there's some sort of appeal. I'm wondering, has anybody here used a third-party service like TalkShoe or TalkShoe that can talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I found the talk show experience is really interesting because it really brought a very interesting talk show experience to it. There have been some people who have had issues getting on, but I've used the service 3 or 4 times and had none, so I guess, maybe a power user can bitch a little more than me. But it's just as easy as getting on a cell phone or whatever, and, I was driving all over hell and high water, and as long as I had the signal, I was part of this cool radio show where we brought all these podcampers together from all these different spots. We talked Pittsburgh and Boston, and I forget there's some other people who were on. Oh, New York, and I think Lisa Barnes was trying to get in first run. And that was good. It was really easy, and then at the end of the day, it dumps you an MP3 file. They can do your RSS. I mean, it's a pretty overwhelmingly good thing, insofar as it is one genre of audio production. So if you are to use their RSS, you're using TalkShoe only, I would recommend perhaps a third-party buffer so that you could then load in a not TalkShow version if you wanted. Say you just had something on your mind you wanted to hit off with a portable MP3, you'd have to call into TalkShow and hang out by yourself.
Actually, we can upload now.
Do you? Oh,
Yeah, you can upload as many episodes as you want.
Okay, so it's like the Libsyn thing where people are saying don't use their blog, have your own blog, just use it as a service to do the recording, but you could potentially host your. So any other services other than TalkShoe that anybody, or are you guys like the first to the market with this?
Yeah, there's certainly I know people use the free conference as a way to.
Just as a way to collect it.
Yeah.
For one-on-one kind of interviews, things, I use Skype.
Yes,
Skype.
is very, very common.
And so how do you record the Skype?
I use software called Pamela.
Pamela? And that's Mac or PC?
It's, I know it's PC. I think it might be Mac.
Like, you see, a lot of people use hot recorder.
Both Windows and Mac.
My next question is going to be seeing how Skype went to a paid service earlier this year. Have you looked for an alternative, or are you considering one?
Skype paid service.
Only for Skype out.
Skype out.
Skype.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, for North America, it's $30 a year. So it's still.
Yeah, in North America I found that the Skype is pretty good. Skype to Europe is a little bit challenging from time to time. I found that a bit iffy. But it's not bad.
Yeah.
The talk show is appealing because I was thinking we could have an Ask the Heartless Bitch show. We could actually do a talk show. Those nice guys could call in. But I'm not ready to do the video podcasting, so I'm not even going to go there yet because I think it's baby steps, right? I mean, did anybody here go straight into, right into video podcasting and just you did that? You bypassed audio altogether?
Yeah, well, I started not doing it. I brought all the equipment with me. I'll set it up in the hallway and study anything you want to know.
Oh, okay.
You can get into audio and video for $500.
Wow. Yeah, see, it's not even the price, it's the time. My time is so much more valuable than the cost of the equipment. I mean, yeah, there's an equipment cost I'm concerned about, but I'm more concerned about what can I do with the least amount of effort. I always enter into these things thinking, oh, I'll just, whip in WordPress and I'll have a blog. And 4 days later, I still can't get the damn templates to work. And I'm like, argh. The boyfriend doesn't even want to talk to me. And he's like,
What's WordPress? What's WordPress?
WordPress is blogging software. If I was actually online here, I could show you what the difference is.
Number one blogging software right now.
iPad number 2, Blogger number 3.
See if I'm, see there, I got Google finally came out. Heartless Bitches International, #1. So if we click there, because that's the main site. And so what I did is I have a thing called a bitch tutorial, which you can see over here, and over on the side there. And what that links to actually now is my blog, and there's archives of my old actual writings, because I used to write by hand, edit HTML, like a text editor. So I'm old school. So this is WordPress, and basically it gives me all the tools to create this. So I added my own colors, my own skins, my own graphics. I dabble in a little bit of everything. And I can program in Perl and a variety of languages, C and various others, kind of come from a programming background. This is all PHP. And I've said, oh, PHP is just like Perl. Yeah, that's like saying programming in Visual Basic is just like doing VB scripting, and not. So it was a lot of work, but it's kind of cool and fun. And it has an area for site administration. And what I really like about this in the dashboard is it tells me all my incoming links. It tells me comments and what the comments are. I edit my comments because I try to put the spam. What's that thing that does letters and numbers? CAPTCHA. They had a CAPTCHA version, but it was doing horrible things to my server, and I'm not about to divulge what OS I'm running on and other things. But suffice it to say that I cannot upgrade and get the right kind of plugins, so I can't do CAPTCHA. So I have to filter and hand filter out the spam comments. But it gives you a really nice tool to bulk filter your comments and decide to let them in or out.
Does anybody have any solutions for spam comments or anything you can do?
Yeah, the kids
There's no one comes down to stand on it too. They relies on a server that's run by Automatic. There's one called Spam Comma 2 that runs entirely on yours and sends out rules.
What's it called? Spam comma?
Spam Comma 2, yeah.
Spam comma 2.
Yeah.
Karma 2. Spam Karma 2. Okay. Well, so that's...
good answer.
You know, I think something though that's interesting is I'm less of a geek, for example, and so obviously my interests are music. So on the Rock and Roll Report, I write about music. The thing that I found was I actually got too caught up in trying to figure out WordPress and all this kind of stuff, where I use, actually, the site is being redesigned by a web developer on WordPress, but right now I'm on a service called TypePad.
Yes.
TypePad is very straightforward. It's point and click, drag and drop. And I was able to create something, and there's podcasting support laws. I was able to create something very straightforward, easily, and just do it. Just start writing and do the creative part and not have to worry about all the technical part.
See, and that's the thing is what I want to highlight is with WordPress, I mean, you can see this is a standard dashboard. I did nothing to this. This is how it comes. These are the tools it comes with. And when I went and did the examination, I decided I like this. It has a lot of cool plugins. And so I wanted to go that route. And I was thinking if I did podcasting, it has podcasting plugins. That was one of the reasons, I chose WordPress, is that there's all these kinds of funky things that you could do. But when you go back to the site, it was a lot of work. And I got so caught up in doing that it took me ages to actually get to the point of creating content. I don't want to do that with podcasting. I want to find a way to just get out there, get my content up and do something interesting and fun. But I want to take baby steps. So it's like I don't want to jump into video right away, or, I think that might be, and not to mention the fact I think I'll have a hard time teasing people onto a video, and I'll have a much easier time getting them on audio, especially with the fact that a lot of us are geographically dispersed. Someone yesterday made a comment about the fact that they think that there's going to be less divorces in the future because more people are going to get married based on the fact that they're meeting people online that have similar interests. Well, likewise, in our community, this community here. Yeah, I agree. That would imply that people actually learn from their previous experience. Don't get attracted to the same types of people regardless of where they're geographically dispersed. Yeah, I'll have a podcast on that later.
Oh, I thought those your band members are in all worlds.
Yeah, so all right, so we're talking about services and doing it yourself. And so what I'm hearing is that if I just want to get started from the get-go, I could use a talk shoe, which is an option. And I'm going to seriously look at that. Or if I just want to do it myself, at least certainly for doing my own intros and things like that, I'm going to need a microphone. But I don't need a fancy sound card. A microphone, Audacity, and I'm good to go to do some basic recording.
A quick question to the people that are, currently doing this. What do you guys think about a USB mic for if a person starting out and not planning on having guests or anything like that?
Big fan?
Oh, yeah, that's ideal. Yeah.
USB mics are good?
Yeah.
The Samsung COS 1E or something like that? Am I close to the right name?
Something like that, yeah.
Samsung COS 1E. Oh, Snowball! Blue Snowball is a little bit more money, but it's so sexy you just have to podcast. I have that exact mic at home, and I just fall in love with it.
If I want to do portable stuff, I saw people around with these little handheld units.
Yeah.
What were they? Like his. It's like the Boss. But somebody had like a fun little microphone stuck on the end of theirs.
Oh, that's a microtrack.
Microtrack?
$24.96.
How much do they cost?
300 or so US.
Well, that's not bad.
And then there's the Adderall R9.
Yeah, I have an Adderall R1, and this audio technique of mine for it was like 100.
Okay.
Why would you have why would you use a USB mic in preference, or not in preference
To your line in mic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, that's a good question, why?
If you didn't have line input, then you couldn't, like, had a just Dell laptop that doesn't have a mic input or something, then you could use the USB.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you got line input?
The USB is just a sound card built into the device, and so when you plug it in, it comes up as a sound card with the attached mic and headphones.
USB is better quality
It-
on average.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you care that much to have a sound card, especially for your mic, then you get a better sound card than you want for the $5 straight away on the company.
Yeah, I mean, a $6 mic, $5 mic's always gonna sound like a $5 mic.
Of course.
Right, well, then the sound card portion is the
Sound
probably
card.
$5 on the
Yeah.
logo. Whereas if you can go and add a USB mic, and then you know you care about and you're paying so much more, but you're getting that integrated.
Or, I have a Mac Mini and it doesn't have a mic input, so
Okay,
USB
yeah.
mic works on that.
So the USB might work on something like that. Like if I did decide to break down and use the Mac and use GarageBand or something for editing, wouldn't that be good? So I've got the equipment and that. If I'm going about it, what about intro music? I want it to sound a little bit professional, a little bit slick. And I'm a really big bugbear about copyright and not violating copyright. My site uses a lot of 50s pulp images to the best of my knowledge. They're in the public domain. I have in my facts. If you find out one isn't, please let me know. It's very, very, very hard to find out these things sometimes. I've had people's blogs removed at MySpace for stealing my content. I get really uppity about that. And so I don't want to violate anybody else's copyright. I don't want to use snippets of music or other things. So, but I'd love to have like a real cool little bit of an intro. Not as long as TWIS's intro, which goes on and on and on. And they could really shorten that up so I get to hear the actual podcast.
So there's a really great tool. There's one thing the Evil Empire does well. Oh wait, sorry. Anyone here from Pod Show?
What's it called?
Music.podshow.com is the PodSafe Music Network, and these are all different acts and performers who have licensed their music to be used in podcast quality, not for sale, not to make money. Meaning, by the way, here's one trick that people don't come on to. If you decide you're going to sell your own show on DVD or audio, CD or something later on, you've got to strike the music back out or get another license to play it. But in podcast form, if you're just generally going to use your music for your podcasting, music.podshow.com is good because it's all set up for you to get music you like, and then you can edit and audit the way you want.
Most of it's Creative Commons license.
Yeah, they're mostly Creative Commons. And then there's GarageBand.com, not really associated with Apple.
Okay.
But they're another place where people are trying to mix their music and find good stuff. What I found happening is when I started using music in my video blogs are just silly travel type blogs. They're, I drive around and shoot up with them. I would put people's songs on them or whatever, and they started getting around, and suddenly bands are contacting me all the time. Hey, we'd love for you to put our stuff on your thing. They said, like my mom and 12 people watched it. That's okay. Because they remember that.
Okay.
But yeah, music.podshow.com.
Music.podshow.com. Okay, gotta remember that.
And there's another one called CC Mixter. I think it's either .org or .net. And it's the same kind of thing. It's a Creative Commons licensed music, just people mixing tracks, different stuff, sound bites together and things like that.
Cool. Yeah, I don't really want the sound effects, but I wouldn't mind just like a little bit of music. Maybe get somebody to record something original. Would be.
That is probably one of the best ways. That's what I'm actually in the process of doing.
Yeah.
I deal with so many indie bands, and it's like, any of you guys want to do a kind of an intro? And they're like, hey, great, we'll do it.
Well, if anybody out there knows of an indie band that would like to do something, I can tell them about what I want and the kind of theme that I want. And I want about 30 seconds. I can make a whole song out of it. I just want about 30 seconds of it for an intro. And I'll happily pimp them on the site.
Have you guys met Virgil? Because he's making music as his podcast is how he makes songs and stuff. And he's made a few offers to some people to do their.
Well, I haven't met Virgil, so no.
Please get in touch with him. He's rolling around.
Okay.
And if you do, you said you could get a cocktail audition.
Yep.
Inexpensive. It comes with a CD that has 5,000 tracks of royalty-free stuff on it, and you could mix that together.
Really? Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
GarageBand has some stuff as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
anybody else have anything else to say on that, like music?
Yeah, just one thing, I would say, if you compare it to lose like 4 hours to a couple days searching through all the music.
Till you get what you want.
And thinking, can you do this or this or this? So
Uh,
you get easily, if we let them pick what song they need for the intro.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can talk to you, because I bet you can come up with something for me. That'll be good. Okay, so recording the actual podcast. Now, this just gets outside of all of the techie stuff. I've given talks, I've talked on the radio, but I've actually never, been to a Ryerson or gone to theater school or anything else about how to actually do an interview. Like, does anybody have any good tips or techniques, sort of, short of me taking an entire college program on, doing journalism and, radio or television journalism, gotchas, things I should watch out for, like the top 10 tips that you should pay attention to if you're doing interviews and especially like, just talking into a
I think I did a
microphone.
podcast on the top 10 interview tips.
Did you?
Yeah. Cool. Well, a lot of it is stuff you probably already know, you just don't know that you know it.
Okay.
Not asking questions that have a yes or no answer.
All right, that's a good one.
Asking people to expand on something and planning in advance. And you said you're going to plan your show, but even each interview you have to plan, okay, I'm going to be talking to these two women. I know them. And if you discuss in advance what the topic's going to be, I wouldn't give them the exact questions, because then what people sometimes do is plan their answers too carefully, and then it sounds scripted, and you don't want that. You want it to be spontaneous. So tell them obviously the topic, and you know these people, so you might know the direction they're going to go in. So sort of plan a series of questions, which you might abandon, but at least to get the conversation going. From what you told me, it sounds like these people won't need that much encouragement to talk.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And the goal was more to take an article that's, say, been posted, or a news item, send them to it, say, read this, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to do a roundtable discussion about this particular topic.
Jim Mills, I do the Check Us Out podcast, and I regularly interview Connie Crosby on my show. And it just took some practice to learn. I mean, we've gotten much better at doing it. It's more of a conversation than an interview. I usually send her some questions or some ideas that I'm going to talk about, and then sort of twist it a little bit in the interview, so that it is very spontaneous. But one thing that I noticed that I had to learn, and maybe it's a guy thing, but I noticed that I had to learn to actually listen to the person I'm interviewing, and not be thinking about the next question I'm going to ask.
Okay.
And that is practice.
All right.
The other difficult part was because we're not in the same room when we do the interview, we're doing it through Skype. You don't have visual cues with each other to when the other one's finished talking or not. So that's taken a bit of time, and we still talk over each other periodically, but that takes time.
Do you edit that out?
At first I would end up doing verbal cues, like, and then the next sounds terrible in audio.
Okay, see now that's important.
And we can learn that I'm not going to give those cues, and she's not going to expect them.
Yeah. So when somebody stops and there's a pause, then I continue talking.
So is that what you do, sort of set up cues for each other, that, I'm going to come to sort of a more hard stop, and that's your opportunity?
I think we've just naturally just worked on it naturally.
Yeah.
It took a bit of practice.
So do you edit it from class up?
He does it.
Very little anymore. The first ones I did. I had to, but we got to where I don't have to edit too much.
Get to a point where the flow is a little better.
Okay.
And Natalie, another great piece of advice, if I use it so myself, is listen to really great interviewers that you love and that you're passionate about.
Okay.
Figure out what they're doing. Because you know what, say good or bad about Oprah, but she never, ever starts an interview. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what your background is. She starts in with some really in media res question like, no, I heard that last week you were at this restaurant and you punched a guy. What's that about? You know what, because I don't give a rat's ass where you were born, raised, went to college. I want to know why you're there and why there's some value of merit to you. So skip the groin pull of, like, who cares where you went to school and who you met, and get right into what matters. Because, people who do interviews all the time, who are on the getting side of interviews, my boss does a lot of interviews, and it's pathetically awful when a non-pro gets there, because then he's got to go through this whole backstory to get to the part that matters, and guess what part he gets to the part that matters.
Okay. That's good. Anything else? Any other?
The other thing I send, I did the same thing with interviews over Skype. I send them a list of things like turn off your cell phone, close your door, put your phone on do not, because sometimes even if you're on a line, the other line rings.
Oh yeah, now that cuts them out while the line is ringing. I hate that.
Yeah, so tell them to put their thing on forward to voicemail or however they can do those types of things.
Okay.
So
And even if you have your cell phone on vibrate, you get this, I don't know the terminology, it's interference.
Take your cell phone, put it at least 15 feet away.
Yeah, so we need to turn it off.
Anything else, like just in terms of quality? Because I think what happens is when people have been doing this a while, they forget about the things that they noticed the first podcast they did, just sound quality. How far away do you stand from the microphone to speak? Like things like that.
How sexy do you want to sound?
On your microphone too.
Pardon me?
I have a headphone microphone that when I'm playing games, I have to be right up to it for anybody to hear me. I have my USB mic that sits on my desk that I got to step away from for people to hear me properly. So it all depends on your settings that you have set up internally on your computer and your mic. So it's not going to be something that we can tell you have to be 3 inches away from it.
Okay, so
Mics are built quite differently. Some are designed to pick up the whole room, some are designed to pick up.
because some you hear people breathing into them, and I don't want to hear people breathing into them.
One of the best bits of advice that we offer our students is when they're recording or you're doing recording, simply wear some headphones because you'll sense right away if you're too close or too far. You'll actually hear it, and it's just some immediate feedback. Now, eventually, once you get the hang of your rig setup, you get to take the headphones off, but it's a really great way to learn that kind of system. The other thing about broadcasting techniques here in our program at Ryerson, I think they're still online, but the BBC did a great little series of sort of flash-based tutorials for their own staff, and they made them available to the world. So do a search on BBC, interviewing, audio techniques, things of that sort. All kinds of things about how to hold microphones and this, that, and the other thing. And they've done all these little flash animations and things to show it. And it's free, and it was wonderful. We used to hear this.
That's excellent. Thank you. That's a really good tip, because that's something I can definitely go and find and use and look for the resources online. That's the hard part, is searching for some of the stuff. You get such a preponderance, and you don't know, what's the good stuff and what's the bad stuff, and when you're just trying to get out there. Having people who can sort of filter for you ahead of time. So I refer to it as my intelligent agent wetware.
The only thing about the BBC stuff is they use a bit of British, lots of wilds and things like that in there. But at least with the flash animation, you can actually see what they're trying to explain. So
okay, gotcha. Any other comments or do's or don'ts or lessons learned that I should have on that? Okay.
Just press record.
Just press record. I'm going to quote you on that one. Just press record.
You guys told me that great quote. Anything worth
doing is worth doing badly.
At least the first time you try.
The first 200.
Yeah. How many, when you first started podcasting? I mean, you say your mom and 12 friends watch your video podcast and travel, right? So when you first started out, who has a show? Can people here tell me their downloads for their shows right now? Like, who's got a weekly show? Can tell me what their download rates are?
I have about 300. Mine's a niche, but they're regular.
So when you first started out and you said, I'm going to do a podcast, and you put it up, how did you market it? How did you let the world know that you were doing podcasting?
Well, I'm a law librarian, so I market it to my profession. So we have listservs, we have private law, county law.
Okay.
So it worked out pretty quickly.
So, and you did that, and initially, like in the first 10 months, how many downloads did you get?
I don't remember.
It all depends. We've got 1,000 podcasts on our servers, and we track everyone and how many downloads, and we have graphs and charts and the whole thing. And the number one variable is the people who come with an audience to a podcast get the downloads. Start from scratch, getting 1, then 3, then 5. You'll get there, but it's going to take a while. So it's up to the marketing of the podcaster.
So if you already have an audience and then you do a podcast, you're a lot further ahead of
If
the
they
game.
come to your website now, they're like, oh, podcast. Well, great.
Cool, so you can do that. So one other thing, somebody talked about posting to iTunes, and I think they just have to sort of wrap because the next session's going to start. All right, I have iTunes and iPad. I have no idea how you upload something to iTunes, but I've seen podcasts on iTunes.
It's trivial. You go to podcast, you go to submit a podcast, you put your RSS feed, you're finished.
And that's it? And then what was somebody saying? Somebody was saying yesterday there was some problem, but they kind of glossed over it where they didn't trust it wasn't always up to date, or is it the RSS feeding of it that's not always?
Yeah. How they're reading the RSS feed, not anything to do with what you are. It's
But you're just linking to where your podcast is being hosted from iTunes, right?
Yeah, right.
So you still have to host it somewhere. And I heard Libsyn, you guys host. Anybody else host them so I don't suck my bandwidth up?
Well, I mean,
5,000 different people host.
Yeah.
Podcasts for free?
Yeah.
Both kinds of places.
You can go to Google and now get hosting for podcasts.
Okay, that's cool. Because it does eat a lot of bandwidth, I guess, if you get a lot of downloads, right?
Well,
That's a good problem.
That's such a bad number.
Nice thing about Libsyn though is you don't pay for downloads, you pay for uploads. You pay for how big the files are that you're uploading each month.
Okay,
And it doesn't matter whether one person or 50,000 people download.
excellent. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate this. This is really good information. And I've got